Everybody stand up a minute, please. Except for this table. Now, I'd like everybody to look at this table a minute. And you've got some gentlemen leaning in, and the women are leaning back. And I want you to think about an actual conference room where there is a conference table and the men come in, grab the seats, lean forward, and the women literally sit against the wall behind, leaning back. Let's give this table a hand. They've been... That is one of the many stories that Sheryl Sandberg tells. She describes how she walked into a conference room and the men were around the table. They get there, they grab the best seats, and the women don't get there quickly enough. They're not leaning in, they're leaning back, and they end up being left out of the conversation. There are other books that talk about this, but the imagery of leaning in is brilliant. And in case you have been in a cave, this has gotten a little bit of attention. She's been on 60 Minutes, she's been on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, she's been on NPR, she's been interviewed everywhere. And as the COO of Facebook, she has the position to get attention. Womenomics by Katty Kay and Claire Shipman said similar things. Knowing Your Value by Mika Brzezinski said similar things. In fact, tells one of the stories from this book that Sheryl Sandberg also tells. But this book is the right book at the right time. And here is the opening premise. Women are still not in the inner circles, not in the conversations. And that is simply the fact. So take your hand out, and I'd like you to stay with me. Turn first to page 4, and then we're going to go to page 2. So go to page 4. I've got a number of pages of excerpts and quotes. You'll want to read these on your own. But I want us to see number 24. Quote number 24 on page 4. It's a cliche, but opportunities are rarely offered. They're seized. What I noticed over the years was that for the most part, the men reached for opportunities much more quickly than the women. Taking initiative pays off. It is hard to visualize someone as a leader if she is always waiting to be told what to do. And so that's really the book. I've now given you the book. It is, you've got to seize your opportunities. Now turn to page 2, and I'm going to walk you through a number of the highlights of this handout. Why is this book worth our time? Well, number one, it has been 100 years nearly since women earned the right to vote. And if you know anything about that history, it was not offered to them. They had to earn it. And so, it's been that, and it's been decades since the movement known as feminism had the spotlight, and yet women still make less than men for comparable work. They populate the top layers of organizations in sparse numbers, well below their percentage in the workforce. It's time for women to learn to and then to actually lean in. Number 2, Sheryl Sandberg has attained a position that demands some attention. This book is her message to men and women, literally her way of leaning in. I'll read you the quote in a minute. Number 3, men need to understand the role they can play, the role they need to play in bringing about genuine equality. This book helps us understand this challenge. And so, I end with a quote from my blog post 2 days ago. I've read a lot of the great speeches from the social movements of the past. But no one speech did it all. Not even Dr. King's I Have a Dream. It took the accumulation of speeches, books, meetings, discussions, shouting, whispering, protesting, marching to make the societal changes that were absolutely necessary. This is one of those written speeches. Buy it, read it, follow it. Hope you found this useful. Thank you very much.